Intertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday, everybody. You are so smart because you are tuned into May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, the guy he was talking about, your host and a man who may or may not have purchased some illegal fireworks. I hail from the great state of Missouri, and fireworks are completely legal in Missouri. And so I have a rich history of my life of growing up, setting things on fire and blowing things up. So I'm still a fan of that. I'm 47 years old, and I still enjoy lighting things on fire and blowing things up, and in a legal capacity. Although fireworks are illegal in California, but back in Intertalk HQ, probably running his own illegal fireworks stand out the side of the company is Cedric, the entertainer. Cedric, the firework purchaser. How's it going, Cedric?
Scott, you're not supposed to tell everyone about my fireworks side project.
Yo, Cedric, I'm here to buy some fireworks, man. What's going on?
Yeah.
Where's the fireworks at?
All the good stuff. I mean, is there not a more American way of celebrating than blowing shit up?
I love it. Exactly. You got to be able to do stuff like that, And I think the stuff they sell at Target, the little party poppers and that kind of stuff, it's like that does not help me feel my Independence Day thing. I want things to catch on fire.
Those are
blow
candles.
Up.
Those are candles.
Yeah, that's not fun.
No.
I think we can all agree that even for the kids out there, that's just not fun.
No.
So anyway, illegal fireworks. I come down strongly on the side of we need more of them. But, of course, after just coming out of the big Cristianos fire, which burned up, so many acres around Camp Pendleton area, I guess those people would not agree. California's so dry, and obviously thus the illegality of the fireworks, by the way. But I think that there is a happy medium, right? There is a way to do fireworks and not burn down the whole show, with the fireworks. Mm-hmm. That's what I say. I don't know. What do you think, Cedric?
Oh, no, we'll find that happy medium. But, might have to blow some things up in the process, which I'm fine with.
I love the jumping jacks. It's like, jumping jacks where the fuse goes really fast and you have that rush of adrenaline as you try to get it away from your fingers before it like burns your hand apart.
Oh, yeah.
And then it turns into literally like a glowing, spinning disc of fire. I really like those.
Yep.
We used to have bottle rocket fights back in Missouri. You guys have those in California?
I don't know about bottle rockets.
So bottle rockets you would fight with. You would in Missouri. You would stuff like a wiffle ball bat full of bottle rockets and light them on fire, and then point them at each other. It was the 70s. I mean, what am I going to say? Maybe there was not as much parental supervision as there probably should have been, to be honest. But there was we shot bottle rockets at each other, and then we used trash can lids. When in Missouri you have those, not like the bins that are supplied by the trash company, but everybody has their own trash cans, and every trash can has a lid, and it kind of looks like a Captain America shield. And you would block the oncoming bottle rockets with the trash can lids.
Oh yeah, when you're playing like mini Avengers, right?
Exactly. So it wasn't safe. It wasn't safe, but it was fun.
We have morning glories now. You kind of just tickle people with the sparks.
Oh, there you go. Morning glory, yeah. And the sparklers, that's not a real firework, though.
It's not.
Like I said, it's like a candle.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. All right, well, enough talk about fireworks. You're tuned to the big show about marketing communications. And if you have a question for me out there in Radio Land, you can always email me at scott@robertsoncom with 2Ms.com. I will answer all of your stuff right on the show. You can also find my posts, my client news clips, other tidbits, stuff that I'm up to at the RobertsonCom Facebook page or at Twitter at RobertsonCom. So do reach out and connect. Hopefully I can entertain you and give you some educational tips as well. So this is June 30th, heading into Independence Day weekend, and this is episode 57 of The Big Show. And I call this episode Feels Like the First Time. And and we could all sing it. We could all just start singing the refrain if we want to. But everybody remembers their first time. You know, I'm talking about marketing, not your first. Get your mind out of the gutter. Our first time marketing. You know, the message is new. Everything's innocent. Everything was really just perfect, right? Well, it's been a few years, and let's face it. You know, we're all kind of tired of that pesky quote unquote message consistency, and maybe you or possibly your board of directors feel like we need to change it up or refresh the brand, or how do we change this up? Well, this can be good, and it can be disastrous. It can be as disastrous as like our first time probably was. So in this episode, we're going to talk about desensitization. We're going to talk about keeping the message fresh, and we're going to talk about the psychological phenomenon of desensitization, dig into it a bit. And then, of course, we're always going to dig into who's winning and who's losing. And oh my goodness, does that part of the show write itself? It's wait till you get to segment 2. Yeah, I mean, I can't even. So you definitely don't want to miss that. But here in segment 1, I like to kind of start out with a little bit of education. We're talking about desensitization. So, you know, what is that? It's a phenomenon in psychology which basically is defined as a diminished emotional responsiveness to negative, aversive, or positive stimulus after repeated exposure. It also occurs when the emotional response is repeatedly evoked in situations when the action tendency that is associated with the emotion proves irrelevant or unnecessary. Basically, the term started to come out in psychology in the 50s, and it was a good thing. It was designed to describe if someone has tremendous anxiety about something. Let's say you're scared of elevators. Desensitization is, also kind of sounds like tough love the way I'm going to say it, but it's basically exposing that person in controlled doses to the anxiety, right, in order to get them familiar with it. And the human mind, desensitizes to the stimuli over time, right? So it can be a really good thing. It's really for like anxiety, fear, phobias, you know, things like that. And you hear it a lot in clients suffering from depression or schizophrenia as well. So I know you're like, hey, I didn't tune into the best brand, you know, give me a lesson in psychology. But you guys got to understand that if you're doing marketing communication, you are doing psychology. You absolutely are. And it stuns me the amount of marketing people that don't spend a lot of time on human psychology. This is game, set, and match for us. We have to be extraordinarily skilled in persuading people, in knowing how the mind works, in knowing everything that we possibly can know for, actually getting people, to do stuff. That is sort of the, it sounds a little insidious when you say it that way, but that is sort of what we're trying to do here. And it's important for us as marketers to know that there is a phenomenon that happens where we become desensitized to something that after repeated exposure to it. I'll give you an example. If you are in an office every day, you have now stopped noticing all the things that are on your walls. If you have pictures of your kids, you don't see those anymore. You see them every day, and they sort of blend in and kind of become, you're desensitized to those stimuli in your in your office, right? It happens everywhere, or your house. I mean, it could be anything. But new people that come into your office, they'll notice things on your wall and say, "What's going on with this?" And so much to the point of which you ever have this situation where somebody notices something and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I do have an autographed guitar from Gene Simmons on my wall. I do have this. But to me, it's just the guitar that is part of the wall now, because I don't process it in a new way every day. I'll give you a quick example of that. I play guitar in my church praise band sometimes, and I play acoustic guitar. And the strap that I have on my acoustic guitar is this crazy looking spangly, it's kind of glittery, crazy guitar strap. And to me, as a guitar player, I don't even see it anymore. I don't even notice that that's the strap on that guitar. It just happens to be, the right length, the right whatever. I have it on my Taylor acoustic guitar, and I sometimes take it out, but I don't really see it. But it's funny because I was playing it at church the other day, the acoustic guitar, and the pastor said in the microphone, he was like, "Hey, we want to thank Scott, who's got a guitar strap that's really exciting for church. It's a really exciting look for church there. And everybody's kind of started laughing. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That guitar has a strap on it that is, kind of nutty for church, honestly. And probably, honestly, should have been rethought before that happened. So that's just a quick example, from my own life. But, this desensitization thing happens. And so we as marketers need to know about it, and we need to know how we can kind of solve it. So I'm going to get into that in a bit in segment 3 and kind of dig into it. But I found a great article on desensitization, and it talks about emerging tech. This is from summer of last year, and it basically says, in the golden days, the 1960s and 70s, the colorful, creative, and a full-page spread was enough to create buzz. And that's not just Mad Men nostalgia talking. With the advent of the internet, new technology had the power to make advertising more poignant. Instead, the worst-case scenario has happened. Brands, desperate to quantify efforts, settled for meaningless metrics like impressions and click-through rates. And with a blink of an eye, advertisers began flooding the internet with ads shoved into every available pixel of space, serving 5.3 trillion ads in a single year, with little regard for the user experience, creative quality, and most importantly, achieving any modicum of the pleasure principle. Instead, users have become desensitized, the article says, developing what they call banner blindness, and are mostly agnostic towards advertising, with 70% of mobile users blocking ads or planning to do so. So, obviously, we are talking about advertising. Advertising is a fascinating thing for me, and I urge you to listen to my episode on, it's called Getting Paid, and it's just about like getting and understanding paid media. But, I can see this, in order to, satisfy, if you're following metrics like impressions and click-through rates, you can serve up a really nice report of that kind of stuff by placing a lot of banner ads. However, I'm not aware of anyone who's ever clicked on a banner ad on an internet website. And if they did it by accident, or they did it because it popped up in some sort of annoying and creepy ass way that shouldn't have happened. And it's like, marketers need to understand this. It's like, banners don't work. They don't like sporadically work. They don't work at all, and a lot of it has to do with a lot of desensitization. There are some approaches that I've seen that you can integrate in with content that can be kind of interesting. But I think it's a really fascinating article. I don't have time to get into the whole thing, but this really talks about ad desensitization, and again, I find the whole conversation is kind of fascinating. Now, one thing that you got to know about, I'm a big believer in messaging first. You spend a lot of time on the message. You get that message right. You understand what your emotional core is. You know how to execute it. Now, when you do this correctly, after some period of time, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 3 years, you will become tired of your own message. You will. There's not a marketer out there that's working for anything out there that isn't kind of tired of, saying the same thing for the human reasons that we talked about. You're desensitized to it. You will become tired of your own message. Here's what you need to remember, and this is really, really important. It is not there for you. Your marketing message is not there to please you. It is not there to please your board. It is not there to please anyone in the inside of the company. It is there for them. It is there for them, your audience. One of the most easy to define examples of sort of self-centric marketing behavior is when we start to create our marketing because it pleases us. We don't matter is a good way to say it. Your president and CEO, he, she, they don't matter either. No offense. I mean, they matter when they're paying you, believe me. But in this context, they are not the priority. I just had a conversation with a client this week, and they were talking about their website, and they said, I'm so sick of this graphic that we have here, that we have here, and it's just, it's a part of our building and stuff, and it shows up on the website and that kind of thing. And I just reminded them, I said, your website's not there for you. It's not there to be, something to entertain you. You need to go find a hobby. This is about them. And what the question you always have to ask from a marketing perspective is, does it serve them? Does it still serve them? Is this about them still? And again, I tell marketers this because you need to understand that you will become very tired of your message. When we created the Believe in Music branding for NAMM, we had it up there for a couple of years. And someone on the board of directors of NAMM asked me, they said, Scott, when are you going to change it up, man? It's been Believe in Music for a couple of years. When are you going to change it up? And I said these words to him. I said, when it is no longer true. The brand is there for them. It's there to be true for them. It serves a purpose. It's not a creative execution to entertain me or anyone in the organization. It's there to do something important for the organization. And you should change your message, when it's no longer true for them, when you definitely have a pivot that is important. I mean, that kind of stuff, you need to know that stuff. I know it sounds really basic, but I know so many companies that have changed, that have bounced out of their marketing, only for sort of internal reasons, like, we were just kind of tired of it ourselves. It's like, no, you're not in connection with what we're supposed to do here. So lastly, I want to talk about a study from Duke University a few years ago that was really interesting, that said that studied photos of Lady Gaga, and basically it said that many people find Lady Gaga's outfits shocking, but they don't always think so the fifth time they see the same outfit. And according to a recent study, extra exposure to photographs of Lady Gaga, I can't imagine why you do that, but maybe somebody would do it, changes how the subjects would predict others will react to seeing the image for the first time. I'm going to say that again because that's really important to know. A study of extra exposure to the photographs changes how the subjects will predict others will react to seeing the image for the first time. They become desensitized to it by repeated exposure to the shocking picture, and then they believe that other people will have the same sort of desensitized reaction that they will have, right? Which you also can't do. You always have to remember, and I'm going to give you some tips in the third segment. We can talk about desensitization and how to get around it and some things like that. But it's really, really important to make this stuff, feel like the first time. And the way to do that is coming up in segment 3. We're going to dig into it here on May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio. Come on back. We're going to talk about who's winning and who is a losing.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on intertalkradio.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader on Music Biz Talk. We're back. I'm Scott, your host. We're hanging with Cedric. We're talking about desensitization. What things are you noticing? What things are you desensitized to these days, Cedric?
I think, especially tied into music, lyrics are becoming super desensitized. I mean, at one point, when you put the explicit label on an album, people took that seriously. Now it's just, okay, throws an F-bomb, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care, man.
Right?
Shock me. Right. You know what, Eminem? See what you got.
Yeah, it's like, just let me pay for my merch. I get it. Yeah, my mom said, all right, whatever. Let's just.
Explicit. You have to watch it. I love Green Day, and Green Day will slip in curse words in some of the coolest, like, Sesame Street sounding songs, and then all of a sudden it's a tirade of curse words.
Or what's Holiday has that interlude where he's speaking through the megaphone. I had no idea what was going on until we decided our band played it. And I looked at the lyrics and I'm like, what have I been missing?
You're like, damn, Billy Joe, that's a man that has some rage.
Oh yeah.
I love Green Day. One of the things I love about Green Day, every song from Green Day, they have almost no throwaway songs, in my opinion. They are so they're such experts at crafting songs.
Yeah.
And so good at just hook into your head and stay there for weeks kind of music. I love it.
Yep.
All right, rock and roll. Let's get to who's winning and losing out there.
Oh,
Shall we? Okay. So, all right. It's let's start off with 2017's most patriotic brands in America. So there was a survey, and the 15th annual Brand Keys Survey of American Brands revealed a dramatic shift in consumers' perceptions of brand patriotism. So you want to hear, let's see, the new brands that marched onto the list this year are Jeep, Levi Strauss, Disney, Coca-Cola, Ford, Hershey's, which tied with Twitter. I don't know what that means, Hershey's tying with Twitter, but I don't know. Ralph Lauren, Jack Daniels. Does it get more American than knocking down some Jack? Come on, be honest. Sam Adams in there, baby. And MSNBC. MSNBC, that one cracks me up, I got to say. So, anyway, believability and authenticity are the keys to emotional engagement. And according to this survey, these are the most patriotic brands, according to the people. And, of course, as no surprise, a lot of patriotism is baked right into the messaging of these brands. But anyway, take that into, there's your small talk for the 4th of July party. You'll be like, hey, do you know what brands are on the list? And then there you go. So I live to serve, I give you guys some good topics. So we're going to put that in winning. All those brands are winning. They're patriotic. God bless America. Love it. Here's one that's losing. A flight was delayed after a woman threw coins into the plane's engine for good luck. Delayed flights are a bummer, especially ones that are caused by well-meaning people that doing things they shouldn't do. And a flight out of Shanghai was delayed for several hours after a superstitious passenger decided to throw a bunch of coins at the plane's engine while the plane was, starting up, and you're throwing coins in there, like 3 coins in a fountain. Thankfully, another passenger spotted the 80-year-old woman, and they alerted the proper authorities. The police detained the woman, beat her repeatedly. Her whereabouts are unknown. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. They detained the woman, and people were taken off the plane. And they figured out the coin situation. One of the coins actually was lodged into the plane's engine. And then I love the editor of the story who wrote the song, which is not a good thing. Which is not a good thing. Oh, yeah. That's a good one. That's losing. If you're on that flight, you lost. It's over for you. Facebook is winning. Facebook now has, are you ready for this? 2 billion users. I have 2 billion users. You know, that's what I'm doing. I just have 2 billion users. That's pretty impressive. My goodness. So that's a milestone that has not been achieved. 1 billion audience has never been achieved in human communications, and 2 billion certainly has not, given that there's only about, 8 billion people, I believe, on the planet. And so Facebook has a fourth of the humans in one sort of network. Not that you could fire off a message to 2 billion people at once, but think about it for a second. Facebook actually could reach 2 billion people with one like Amber Alert kind of message. I mean, let's say there's an asteroid coming from planet Earth, something that everybody would care about, and it's imminent, going to smash right into the Earth. Facebook could actually do a little Amber Alert for 2 billion people, right? And no one else could touch that in terms of reach. So it's really, I throw that out there to you marketers out there, because you need to understand that 2 billion is obviously the largest, social app. Did you know that YouTube was at 1.5 billion? And Twitter is at 328 million. Snapchat's at 255 million, just so you know. And WeChat is at 889 million. I don't even use WeChat. That must be something for the kids. Got to say, we're going to have to do a show on WeChat because, Scott doesn't even know what that is. So it's probably a chat thing. It's probably tied to porn, to be honest. Anyway, so 2 billion people. Facebook's winning. Let's say that. Disney, getting all politically correct again. So Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean ride in the parks they're going to remove the bride auction scene. They are doing an overhaul. Susie Brown, a spokeswoman for Disneyland Resorts, confirmed on Friday that the popular Pirates of the Caribbean ride will be swapping out a scene in which a pirate buys his wife at auction. Okay. It's at Disney World, Disneyland, and Disneyland Paris. It depicts a group of bound women on an auction block with a banner reading, "Auction, take a wench for a bride," hanging above their heads. And then as riders pass by, the pirate characters can be heard saying, "We wants the redhead," in reference to the most prominently displayed of the wenches at auction. But soon the banner will read, "Auction, surrender ye loot," according to the Associated Press. Here's why it's losing, folks. I'm a little concerned for our world. I'm a little concerned that we are at the point of political correctness now, that we're excusing the behavior of pirates who, real pirates, outside of the ride of Disneyland, killed people, burned villages, raped women, did all kinds of bad things because they were, outlaws, bad people, villains, all of that. And so, I'm a little concerned that someone somewhere thinks that people can't handle the fact that they're auctioning off women for their brides. So the quote was, "Our team thought long and hard about how to best update this scene," said Kathy Magnum, Senior Vice President of Walt Disney Imagination. Yeah. Why is this necessary? Why is this change necessary? Did one person complain? Is it one of these things where one person put something in the box and said, "Oh, do you really think you should do that? It's going to offend people, around human trafficking." It's like, you know what? Stop being so offended. It's a friggin' ride. And it's a ride based on pirates who were not nice people. They didn't do auctions and, surrender ye loot and the kind of thing. They would just slice your throat and kill you, right? I'm a little concerned at the weakness of our society that we can't handle things like this. It bothers me just a little bit. Since it's Disney, I made a joke on Facebook and I said, I can hardly wait for the next version of Darth Vader, who no longer will force, choke, and crush the windpipe of people who piss him off. Instead, he'll just kind of sternly scold them. You have displeased me again. I am very upset with you. You have tremendously disappointed me. Do not disappoint me, or I will talk to you in a stern tone of voice. It's like Darth Vader kills people. He's a villain. That's what they do. That's their thing, right? And I put this as a marker in history that, sometimes the politically correct route makes the rest of us shake our heads and go, I'm very concerned about the future of our society. I got to say, because it makes me feel like you can't say anything to anyone or do anything to anyone without someone being offended. And you know what? Tough crap. If you're offended, change the channel. Bye-bye. It's America. We're going to celebrate that on Tuesday. Enjoy. It's like, I just don't have a lot of patience for that. I think this is a dumb change. If I'm sitting in the room and I'm PR and they say, we're going to do this change, I'm going to be like, I think it's dumb. I think it's unfounded. I think there's not a lot of gain, and we risk just looking, I don't know what we look. It's disappointing to me. So, hey, speaking of disappointing, who else is losing? There's a Czech company who decided to, and you labor attorneys out there are going to love this one. They hosted a Facebook bikini contest to choose their interns. Straight up. They basically, the Czech power conglomerate CEZ couldn't decide how to choose interns for one of its nuclear power stations this year. So it asked all the female applicants to dress in bikinis and hard hats, and then they held a Facebook competition to judge which one of the female high school graduates would, get the job. Okay, now if you're in the room and you're PR for this, right, this is your opportunity, right? While the Disney thing, stupid, unfounded, dumb, this thing you step in front of like it's a moving train and getting ready to hit your family. This makes no sense. Absolutely. There's nothing but bad news coming for the PR team dealing with this. Don't do stuff like that. If people in your organization say, I think it's a good idea that we have the interns get up and they wear the bikinis and that kind of thing, punch them in the face right then. You're doing the company a favor. Get them out of the room as quickly as you can. Because this thing is going to, you haven't heard the last of this story. Stories like this start like this, and everybody, ha, 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 ha. Lawsuit. Whoever was involved in the selection of it gets fired. The interns, people start doing deeper dives on who the interns are. Their privacy is totally invaded. All kinds of stuff. All kinds of bad news is going to happen from this point on. So, get in front of that stuff. Marketers, geez, what are you doing out there anyway? Okay, so we're going to put that firmly in losing. NASA's winning. NASA, I think they're winning. I don't even know. NASA today, they officially went on record and said that they're officially on record. It says that there are no colonies of child slaves on Mars. They want you to know there really isn't one. There really are no humans on the red planet. There are a few robots that are there. Despite watching the Matt Damon movie, The Martian, that's not real. He's not really there. That's a set. That's a movie. No one's been there. But apparently there's a notion that children have been secretly shipped to a colony on Mars for decades. Yeah. So here's what I love about this story. I love the fact that NASA went ahead and addressed it, and I love the way that they addressed it. The fact that they just, NASA's a very sort of serious organization, right? And if you read their press release on it, it is magically awesome because they basically, first of all, it's cool that they addressed it, and it's cool the way they addressed it. So make sure you take a look at that. You're going to see a lot of media coverage of it, but they said there are no humans on Mars. There are no active rovers on Mars. There was a rumor going around last week that there weren't, but there are. There are active rovers on Mars, but there are no humans. There are no child slaves on Mars. Oh, we live in the world with these people. I just got to tell you, they're out there. They believe stuff like that. Oh, man. Starbucks is losing. There may be fecal bacteria in your Starbucks iced coffee, an investigation has found. And before you take another sip of that iced coffee, be warned there may be bacteria from feces in it. The BBC's watchdog team conducted an investigation into UK coffee chains and found that samples of ice from Starbucks and places called Costa Coffee and Cafe Nero contain varying levels of bacteria. And it's not and then the author goes, and it's not the good kind of bacteria. Yeah, there you go. So Starbucks had not responded to this in the UK, but the internet's having, as you might imagine, a massive field day with this story, and they're having a lot of fun with it. So I urge you to, in your spare time, to go check that out because you will enjoy that. Speaking of getting creative, people are getting very hilariously creative with Square's customizable cash card designs. Square came out and said, hey, customize your cash card. Do whatever you want. You can draw on the front of it. It's black and white and that kind of thing. They unveiled it. It's which is weird for Square anyway, because Square is, a payments operation where you swipe it into your mobile phones and stuff. But they're getting, I don't know, some good social media advertising maybe. But lots of people are creating some really funny and ridiculous designs with this. Again, what do we don't do, class? We don't let the internet name things. We don't let the internet do customizable things that they can share with other people. Because where's it going to go? It's going to go to a place that's way dirtier than Pirates of the Caribbean ever dreamed, I guarantee you. And so, but go and check out some of Square's customizable cash card designs. There's some really, really funny ones and some really, massively inappropriate ones. And I guess they sent those people, they wanted to see how inappropriate they could get and still get Square to send them the card. And I guess Square still did that. And our last story in winning and losing, newspapers are winning a little bit. And I always like to report on this, but confidence in newspapers is still low, but it is rising. Despite an controversy over fake news, more Americans, 27% this year, said they had a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in newspapers than did so last year. Now, the actual trend lines on that, had a record low last year, and it's good that we see it a little bit on the rise. I think being outside of an election cycle, we're likely to kind of see that. It says that Democrats are primarily driving the overall increase in confidence in newspapers this year from last year's all-time low. In 2016, 28% of Democrats had a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in printed media, but the percentage rose to 46% this year. So newspapers doing a little bit better out there, getting a little more confidence, which is it's a good thing for our world. We need something we can trust. And you can trust me on May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back. I'm going to give you some tips to avoid desensitization for you and your audience. Come on back.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording number one hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. You are back with segment 3, for my money, the best segment on May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I'm Scott, hanging out with Cedric, the engineer. And Cedric, what did you find fascinating about the cavalcade of humanity that came forward on the winning and losing segment today?
I don't know. I might just be desensitized to it, you know?
It's like none of that crap.
Yeah.
None of that startled me.
Another idiot's born every day.
It's so true.
Throwing
it's so
coins
true.
in the engine block, man.
That is special.
Yep.
And she did it for luck.
Yep.
She was like, oh, I thought it'd be good luck. Metal objects into the engine of your plane is not good luck. That is the opposite of good luck.
It's some sort of luck. It's not good.
It's not gonna work out. That's what I will tell you. A lot of fun. You know, people ask me about the winning and losing segment, and they say you must have to search for hours and hours and hours just to find, just to find examples of stuff like this. I'm like,
maybe for someone winning.
No. Yeah, exactly. It's harder to find that. It's way the losing stuff just flies at you. It just appears everywhere. It's crazy. But yeah, there's some good winning ones in there every once in a while. But no, that part of the show just writes itself, man. Just life plays out in front of you, and that part of the show just writes itself.
Oh yeah,
it's like the easiest part of the show to write ever. And then I have people sometimes that will email me and say, well, you missed this one. Isn't this one, dumber than some of the ones that you, yeah, isn't this one dumber? And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty dumb too. I mean, it's like, it's not a contest to see who can do the dumbest thing and then send it to me. It's like, let's do it better. That's what I say. Yep. Let's do life better. That's what I'm after in general. Well, good. Let's get into segment 3, shall we? I wanted to just spend a few more minutes on this study that I was talking about, the Lady Gaga study from Duke University, and you should check it out because it's way more detailed than I can really dig into. But basically, the study found that it was conducting a study to determine whether people who were desensitized by repeated exposure to a quote unquote shocking picture, in this case like Lady Gaga wearing like just caution tape or something, will be able to accurately predict how somebody else will react to the picture. This is really, really interesting. So, basically, people believe that the experience leads to predictive knowledge. So the test subjects got worse at predicting how others would respond to the Lady Gaga photographs. The more times they were exposed to it, the worse they could predict how others would respond. This is really, really important for you as a marketer. This is your learning right here, is understanding that you can't completely trust yourself. You can't completely trust yourself and the people working around you. Because if you don't see the guitar hanging on the wall anymore and those kind of things, then you think they don't see the guitar hanging on the wall anymore. And that can become dangerous in marketing. So what you need to do is what I'm going to talk to you about next. I wanted to set the problem up and say, basically, it's really, really important that you understand this desensitization concept and how it can play into your own judgment. I get paid for, my judgment, my counsel, my work, with my clients. But you need to understand that your own, where the limits of your own judgment are going to be. And certainly if you've been working for something for a long period of time, no matter how great a marketer you are, and I'm sure that you are, believe me, I'm sure that people tell you that. But remember that you're a human being. And as this study will prove to you, human beings become desensitized to repeated exposure to shocking images and messages, which means you do too. So really keep that in mind. And now I want to give you a few tips. I want to leave you with a few tips to avoid that desensitization stuff for you and your audience. Again, got to lead off with number one, with remember who the message is for. I will give you a hint. It is not you. You are not sitting down writing a marketing plan, creating messaging, and going, how can I convince myself to buy this guitar? How can I, if I really needed to convince myself, how would I do it? It's like, you are not the message. Your CEO is, you're not the audience. Your CEO is not the audience. Your board of directors is not the audience. Although, I mean, a case could be made. Maybe some of the board of directors, maybe they're in the audience, But generally speaking, you want to focus your attention outwardly. You always want to be thinking about them. Remember who the message is really for, and you will always be able to avoid, your desensitization. Because if you're really thinking about them, then hopefully you're seeing things like, for the first time, and you're trying to see things for the first time. If you no longer trust your ability to see things for the first time, bring in somebody who's seeing it for the first time. I used to do that all the time. I still do that. I bounce things off of people who are outside of it and say, what do you, and don't lead them with your questions, right? We're not leading people. So you just say, what do you think of this? What do you think of it? And really try to get that feedback. It does take longer. It does take longer to get things done. It does feel frustrating that, those kind of things, but you will be much more effective. You'll be much more effective. And again, that's a good way to avoid being desensitized, by remembering who the message is for. Tip number 2, be about something larger than you. And I always, I put this in the, I talk a lot about messaging, the importance about having a great message that is bigger, that allows you to tie into something that's larger. That will allow you to not, as it relates to desensitization, if you're about something bigger, then, you're going to have a lot of different ways to tie into it. And so without changing the message, without doing that crazy thing of like shifting and pivoting and changing your message all over the place, you're going to be able to tie into it a lot of different ways. And that's going to keep the message really fresh, and that's what we're talking about. I have a client, I've been doing content marketing for one client for 4.5 years, using essentially the same brand message. Business is killing it. They're doing a great job. The content is, really good, really educational. They are about something. We've made their business, about something that's important. But we have about 1 million different ways that we can get into something, even something boring that we need to communicate in terms of the blog, in terms of the content marketing. We can get into that there's a lot of different pathways that we can get into it. And so it doesn't always feel like, oh man, this is the same post as last week. This is the same thing. Even if it's the same message as last week, it doesn't have to be the same post. You don't have to come out the same way, that kind of thing. So again, that being about something larger than you really serves a great purpose when it comes to desensitization. Number 3, be sure to measure your message effectiveness. There's a lot of opinion that gets thrown around in the, how's our marketing doing kind of sphere. But I'm a fan of good old-fashioned metrics. Good old-fashioned, are people getting it? Do we have, a research survey before and after? That's the right way to do marketing, by the way. Even though believe me, I know that people filling out surveys can be boring and annoying and all those kind of things. But just putting on our science hat for a minute, as a researcher, you're never going to do any better than being able to, kind of get a baseline of where people's attitudes, beliefs, behaviors are at the beginning, introducing a stimulus into the market, and then measuring what the impact of that stimulus was on the attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. That sort of before and after research is really, really important. And ask yourself the question, if you're getting pressure on people that are saying, oh, we really need to change this up, find out if that's a measurement-driven conversation or if that's just a personal opinion-driven conversation. You owe it to your company because, redoing marketing, and like everybody says, rebranding, let's rebrand. Let's just rebrand. Well, at the top of the show, I talked about that there's a good side and a downside of rebranding. The good side is, you can make it fresh. You can slap a fresh coat of paint on this thing, and you can come at it fresh, and if everything feels new again, and it feels so good for you on the inside. For them, you have sort of abandoned your other position in the market, where a lot of your customers knew you and were comfortable with you. People don't like what? Change. That's right. And change for no reason other than somebody just got bored and has ADD inside the company is not appropriate. So, and it costs a lot of money. It costs, thousands and thousands of dollars. And people say, well, Scott, don't you get that work? And isn't that a good thing for your business? No. If it's not a good thing for their business, it's not a good thing for my business. My business is not about how many rebranding packages I can sell. It's about helping companies do better, and doing better is sort of an independent conversation depending on what better looks like and what the company's, situation looks like. It's not, there are no easy answers to this stuff, but I'm always very skeptical of brands that rebrand, brand and rebrand and all those things every few years. You ever see those, kind of things? It's like, it just, it's almost like an organizational case of ADD. It's like they're just like, oh, they just can't possibly stay with it. Whereas you look at companies like Nike, who would like to guess how long Nike's been using Just Do It? Yeah, it's like 35 years. 35 years they've used the same tagline. It's working for them. Got to say that that tagline still works for them. By the way, on the branding side of things, that tagline has defined the message of their company, which is about personal productivity, which is about, pushing further, which is about getting off your butt and exercising, right? And it's like, nobody wants to get off their butt and exercise, to be honest. I don't, I'd love to, it's a very human thing to want to sit on your butt, but Nike masters that in their branding, and it's all about you, and it's all about how far you can achieve and how far you can push, and can you push further, and can you do those kind of things. And they don't want to abandon that position to any other, footwear or apparel company or, athletic design company. They don't want to do any of those, any of those things, right? Because it works for them. And they have measurement that shows that it works, and then they stick with it. And there's probably ad agency after ad agency that wants to come in and goes, well, we should abandon this and we could do something better. We can come up with something better. And you know what? The most important thing in branding sometimes is the D in branding, which stands for discipline, baby. Sometimes you got to have the discipline to stick with your stuff. Sometimes it takes, 5, 6, 7 years maybe to teach the market who you are. It's not like they're waking up every day and, eating their breakfast cereal and going, I wonder what this brand has for me today. It's like, people are busy. It takes them, maybe take them time to learn who you are in the marketplace. And you got to let them do that. You absolutely got to do that. So tip number 3, again, where it's about measurement. We got to measure that message effectiveness. And when the message is no longer effective by not an opinionated thing inside the company, but like a market, the market's telling us something, we have some information from the market, some research that shows that it's no longer effective, then and only then should we think about doing a change. Because again, we're going to spend a bunch of money doing it, and we're going to abandon our current position in the marketplace, and may confuse some people, may lose some people, just going to say. So tip number 4, pay attention to your competitors. and everybody else in the marketplace. If you're trying to get around to avoid desensitization of the message, really pay attention to your competitors, because you don't want to be, if they're sending out, marketing messages that have like a puppy with a red sweater on or something and everything, then you don't want to send a marketing message with a puppy with a red sweater on as well. Especially if there's like multiple, if there's nothing but puppies with red sweaters, all over the place, then it's much easier to become, desensitized to that, right? And people will be like, I don't even see the puppy in the red sweater anymore. And then, that's going to be my forthcoming book, The Puppy in the Red Sweater by Scott Robertson. An audiobook for your audiobook perusing enjoyment. The Puppy in the Red Sweater. Yeah, I'm just making a note to myself. That's going to be wonderful, I got to say. But pay attention to your competitors and pay attention to everybody else. Make sure that you're zigging where they're zagging. If you can look at your competitors and say, okay, they're doing this tactic, they're over, maybe they're on this, they're really killing it on Snapchat. Well, maybe you're going to be killing it on Instagram. Maybe you're going to kill it somewhere else. Maybe, you don't want your customers, your tribe, as Seth Godin would say, to be desensitized by their stuff too. So always effective to really think about, and really have your nose to what are the competitors doing? How can we zig when they zag? How can we do that kind of stuff? Tip number 5, have fun. I think one of the greatest ways to avoid desensitization of the message is to make sure that you're still having fun with it. Find new ways to make it fun, because it's like a band. If you're having fun, the audience is having fun. And and it's also true. If you're bored with it, if you are sick of it, and if you're sick of it, then they could be bored with it and sick of it too, much more easily. Or you're not going to be as good at putting it out there. Make sure you're having fun. Marketing is supposed to be fun. I have a lot of fun. People say, it sounds like a really fun job. It's a tough job, but it's a fun job. It's absolutely a fun job. I can name you, a bunch of jobs that aren't fun, but mine's fun. Again, just like a band on stage, the audience will be able to pick up if you're having a good time, and they'll come along with it. And then that'll help them be a little, less desensitized to your message. So what have we learned today? Brand consistency is really important. But if you do it for a long time, people can become desensitized to the message. Obviously, people inside the company probably first. We want to avoid the mistakes of thinking that we speak for them, and we always want to try to see our marketing with new and with very fresh eyes, their eyes to be exact, because those are the eyes that we care about. And, that's how we're going to have the most success in the long-term relationship building game that is marketing. It's also how we're going to make sure that our brand message feels like the first time, every time, for all of our audiences. Well, rock on, marketing fans. Until next week, this has been Scott Robertson, host of May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader on Music Biz Talk. Have a great Independence Day weekend, and we'll see you back next week with a fresh show. And hopefully I won't blow too much stuff up. Later.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al DiMeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?